All right, so today we are going to take a deep dive into something super important. But honestly, it's not something we always think about,
Yeah.
our kidneys.
hmm
Today we are going to explore how what we eat, our diet, impacts kidney health, for better or for worse. And our source today is this YouTube video. And the title is pretty intense. You cannot heal your kidneys if you still eat these 22 foods.
Oh, wow.
I know, right? So we're going to look at that video, go through it, and see if we can find some good advice,
Okay.
some practical stuff to take away. But spoiler alert, some of these foods on the list, I bet, are pretty surprising.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder if there are some healthy foods on there that we're going to have to reconsider.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
So to kick us off, maybe you can just give us like a quick, why are kidneys so important?
Yeah, that's a great question because so often we don't really think about our kidneys until there's a problem.
Exactly.
But a really staggering statistic is that 90% of people with kidney disease
Well,
don't even know they have it.
90%.
90%.
Okay, so that's a serious wake-up call.
Big time.
So even if we're feeling great, it's worth paying attention to our kidney health.
I feel like whenever we talk about kidneys, like minerals come up,
Yeah.
like potassium, phosphorus.
Got it.
And the video points out that there's this common misconception
Yes.
surrounding them. What's the deal with these minerals in our kidneys?
Yeah, so it's kind of this tricky balance, right? Because something like potassium, it's essential for healthy kidneys.
Mm.
It helps to regulate blood pressure, muscle function, all kinds of important processes in the body.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem arises when your kidneys aren't functioning the way that they should be. And then they really struggle to process those minerals effectively, so they can actually build up and become harmful.
So it's not like we want to avoid them altogether,
No, not at all.
but we need to be mindful
Exactly.
if we have any concerns, especially.
Absolutely. And I think that's where personalized advice really comes in.
Right. It's important to work with your doctor to determine what levels are appropriate for you and your individual needs.
So one of the foods on this avoid list, and I was shocked by this, is avocados.
Avocados.
I know, avocado. Everyone thinks they're so healthy these days.
Yeah.
They're like the ultimate health food.
Right. It's become a symbol of health.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's the deal?
So, avocados, they do have a lot of benefits. We can't deny that.
Right.
But they are also quite high in potassium. So for someone with compromised kidney function, moderation is key. The video also points out that avocados are calorie dense and weight gain puts additional strain on the kidneys.
So a double whammy
It is, yeah.
for the kidneys.
Yeah.
Okay, so does this mean I also need to rethink my daily banana habit?
Bananas are tricky because, again, so convenient and often seen as a healthy snack.
Totally.
But that potassium content, just like the avocado, can add up really quickly.
Okay.
And if those potassium levels get too high in the blood, it can lead to a condition called hyperkalemia.
Hyperkalemia. Hyperkalemia, yeah.
What are the risks with that?
You can experience weakness, numbness, even irregular heartbeats.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And in severe cases, it can be life-threatening.
Okay.
So if you are watching your potassium intake, there are alternatives to the banana.
Right.
Apples, berries, pears, all kinds of good stuff.
There's options.
There are.
Yeah. So it's really just being aware of the potassium content in different foods
Absolutely.
and opting for lower potassium options where possible.
Exactly.
Okay. So the video also mentions oxalates. Honestly, I had never really thought about these before.
Okay.
They use spinach as an example. I love my green smoothies.
Oh, yeah, me too.
So this really caught my attention.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's the deal with spinach and oxalates?
So spinach, yeah, it's got tons of good stuff,
It does.
but it's also high in oxalates. And oxalates, these compounds can actually crystallize in the kidneys.
And that leads to kidney stones,
It does.
which are notoriously painful. How much of a risk are we talking about here with these oxalates?
Yeah, the video shares this pretty alarming anecdote about someone dying
Oh my gosh.
after consuming sorrel soup,
Oh,
which is incredibly high in oxalates. Now, that's obviously an extreme case.
that's intense.
Yeah, it is. But it just highlights that there are potential dangers to be aware of.
So besides spinach and this scary sorrel soup,
Right.
what other foods have a lot of oxalates?
You want to watch out for cassava root, starfruit, and rhubarb.
Okay, so there's a theme emerging here, I think.
Yeah.
Like even healthy foods have a downside.
They do. It's
Potentially.
all about that balance, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
And this video doesn't stop there. There's some really unexpected foods
Oh, real?
on this list, and I never would have thought they could impact my kidneys.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. So let's talk about rice.
Rice?
Rice.
Okay.
Like the staple food for a huge portion of the world.
Oh.
What's wrong with rice?
So the video explains that rice can actually contain arsenic, and that can be harmful for the kidneys.
Whoa. I had no idea.
It's one of those things that's kind of hidden, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So if you are looking for alternatives to rice, there are a ton. You could do quinoa, barley, couscous.
Lots of options.
There are.
Okay, so I'm starting to feel like I need a whole new grocery list. And wait, there's more?
I know.
The video lists butter as a potential culprit, too.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I know. I'm starting to wonder what we can eat at this point.
It can feel a little overwhelming.
It can.
But remember, balance and making those informed choices, right?
Right.
So with the butter, it's that high sodium content,
Oh, okay.
especially in salted butter,
Okay.
that can really contribute to kidney strain. And then saturated fat is also a concern because it can lead to high blood pressure and other issues that can impact kidney health.
So maybe a little less butter on the toast.
Exactly.
All right. This next one is going to sound counterintuitive. The video actually suggests that white bread,
Really?
I know, might be preferable to whole wheat bread
Interesting.
for kidney health.
I'm trying to wrap my head around this one.
I know.
Right.
We're always told whole wheat is the healthier option.
Right.
But for individuals with kidney issues, it's that high phosphorus content in whole wheat that can be a problem.
Why is phosphorus an issue for people with kidney problems?
Okay, so healthy kidneys, they typically filter out excess phosphorus from the blood, but when the kidneys aren't working as well, they can't do that as effectively. And so the phosphorus starts to build up in the body, and that can actually lead to a whole host of other issues, like weakening of the bones and even anemia.
Oh, wow. Okay, so for someone with kidney issues, even with all the extra fiber and nutrients in whole wheat,
Yeah.
it might not be worth that extra phosphorus.
It might not, yeah.
It's tricky. It really makes you rethink everyday food choices.
It does.
What stands out to you the most so far? I think what's fascinating to me is that even these seemingly healthy choices can have unintended consequences for our kidneys.
Right.
It really underscores the importance of getting individualized dietary advice, especially if you have underlying health conditions.
It's not one size fits all.
It is not.
Yeah. So speaking of misleading advice, the video actually delves into the very popular topic of kidney cleanses.
Okay.
And they seem to be pretty skeptical.
Yeah.
What's your take on kidney cleanses?
Our bodies are incredibly efficient at naturally detoxifying themselves.
Right.
The concern with these extreme cleanses is that they can sometimes do more harm than good,
Yeah.
especially for those with pre-existing kidney issues. Those drastic dietary changes can put a lot of stress on the kidneys.
Right.
And without proper medical supervision, there's a risk of complications.
So are kidney cleanses just a marketing gimmick?
I mean, there's definitely a lot of hype out there.
There is.
But, we can support our kidneys through healthy choices.
Right.
Staying hydrated is crucial, and incorporating antioxidant-rich foods. Speaking of which, the video actually highlights
Oh, yeah.
a whole array of juices that can be beneficial for kidney health.
Really?
And some of them sound pretty delicious.
Okay, let's hear about these tasty, kidney-friendly elixirs.
Okay, so let's start with a classic apple juice.
Okay.
Great for hydration, which we know is essential for kidney function. Plus, apples contain pectin, a type of fiber that can help with digestion and potentially reduce the risk of certain types of kidney stones. Specifically, calcium oxalate stones.
Okay, so apple juice,
Yeah.
tasty A&D, potentially beneficial for the kidneys.
Exactly.
I like it. What else is on this juice list?
So how about cranberry juice?
Oh, yeah, cranberry juice.
Well known for urinary tract infections.
UTIs.
Yes, exactly, UTIs.
The classic.
But it's got benefits beyond that. Cranberry juice is full of antioxidants, which support kidney health, and may even have a cholesterol-lowering effect.
Oh, nice. Okay, cranberry juice, another great option. Now, I'm really curious about this next one. The video mentions watermelon juice,
Okay.
which sounds incredibly refreshing,
Yeah.
especially on a hot day. But earlier, we talked about this watermelon rind.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Watermelon juice is a fantastic choice. It's hydrating. It's a natural diuretic. So it helps to flush out excess fluids and waste products from the body. It's loaded with vitamins and antioxidants that can protect those kidneys from damage. But, and this is what I love, the rind, which we usually just toss,
Right.
it actually contains compounds that may protect the kidneys.
Wow.
A recent study actually found that these compounds protected against kidney damage in rats, which is a really promising avenue for future research.
It's amazing how much we can learn from nature, even from the parts we often overlook.
It's true.
Right.
Absolutely.
It really makes you wonder what else we're missing out on.
I know.
So even though we've talked about all these great juices, it's important to reiterate that we should be cautious about those kidney cleanses. Yeah, for sure.
Right. Our bodies are already really good at detoxifying themselves. What's the concern with these cleanses?
It's that they can sometimes do more harm than good, especially for people with pre-existing kidney problems.
Okay.
They can put a lot of stress on the kidneys. And without medical supervision, there's a risk of complications like electrolyte imbalances or dehydration.
Okay, so it's really about being wary of those quick fixes and fad diets.
Yeah,
And instead focusing on those sustainable, healthy habits.
absolutely. The best way to support kidney health is through a balanced diet, hydration, regular exercise. Those lifestyle changes, combined with regular checkups, are far more effective than any kind of extreme cleanse.
Now, speaking of balanced diet, the video mentions a couple of eating plans that are often recommended for people with kidney issues. The renal diet and the DESH diet. Can you give us a quick breakdown of those?
Sure. So the renal diet is specifically designed for people with chronic kidney disease, or CKD. And it focuses on limiting protein, sodium, potassium, and phosphorus intake, because those nutrients can actually build up in the body when the kidneys aren't functioning the way that they should.
So it's really targeted
Yeah,
at
right.
managing kidney health through diet.
Absolutely. It's often used in conjunction with other medical treatments to help manage the condition. Now, the DESH diet stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension.
Right, and hypertension is high blood pressure,
It is, yep.
which is a risk factor for kidney disease.
Exactly. And so the DHH diet focuses on lowering blood pressure by really emphasizing fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and limiting saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium.
So the DASH diet can benefit anyone looking to improve their heart health.
Absolutely.
But it's also relevant to kidney health because it addresses that key risk factor.
Exactly. And both the renal diet and the DHH diet highlight the importance of making informed food choices and working with healthcare professionals to create a personalized eating plan that meets your individual needs.
It's not a one-size-fits-all.
It is not.
Right. Before we move on, I just want to touch on a couple more foods from that list of 22
Okay.
that the video says to avoid for good kidney health.
Yeah, let's do it.
So apricots, for example.
Apricots.
I wouldn't have thought of apricots
Yeah, interesting.
as being potentially harmful for the kidneys. What's the issue there?
Well, they are a great source of fiber and antioxidants.
They are.
But again, they're high in potassium.
Okay.
And for people with chronic kidney disease, or CKD, eating too many potassium-rich foods can lead to hyperkalemia.
Right, which we talked about earlier.
Exactly.
So it's all about portion size and
Yes,
tolerance.
absolutely. It's a good example of why it's important to talk to your doctor about your diet, especially if you have any underlying conditions.
Now, I'm curious about potatoes.
Okay.
Potatoes are a staple in so many cultures.
I know.
What makes them potentially problematic?
So potatoes are a good source of carbohydrates and some vitamins and minerals, but they're also relatively high in potassium. And additionally, the way that potatoes are prepared can actually significantly impact their potassium content.
Oh?
For example, if you boil potatoes, it can leach out some of the potassium, making them a bit more kidney friendly.
So it's not just the food itself, it's also how it's cooked.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a great point. And one more food on this list is dairy products.
Dairy.
I know. What's the deal with dairy and the kidneys?
So dairy products, great source of calcium and protein, but can also be high in phosphorus and potassium. And as we've been discussing, those high levels in the blood can be problematic for people with CKD.
Right, so moderation and individual needs are key.
And just remember, there are tons of plant-based alternatives to dairy.
Yeah.
Almond milk, soy milk, oat milk, those can be lower in phosphorus and potassium. So a good choice if you're watching those levels.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about what to avoid, but I want to end this on a positive note.
Yeah.
What are some key things people can do to support their kidney health?
Be proactive about your health.
Okay.
Don't wait until you have symptoms to start paying attention to your kidneys.
Right.
Get those regular checkups. Talk to your doctor about your diet and lifestyle.
Yeah.
And be an active participant in your own healthcare journey.
Early detection's key. What else can we do to support kidney health?
Simple lifestyle changes can make a big difference. Stay hydrated, eat a balanced diet that's rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, limit processed foods and sugary drinks,
Right.
and get regular exercise.
Those are all great tips.
Yeah.
Even small changes can have a big impact on your health, including your kidneys.
Absolutely.
So this has been an incredibly informative deep dive so far. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise.
Of course, my pleasure.
We'll be back in a moment to continue this discussion and go a little bit deeper into kidney health and diet. Stay tuned.
Sounds good. It's pretty amazing how just these little everyday things can really have an impact on our health.
Totally. It's all about being mindful
Yeah.
and those informed decisions.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm curious about some of those other juices the video talked about
Okay.
that can be beneficial for kidney health.
Yeah.
I never would have thought about pineapple juice as being good for kidneys, but it turns out it has this enzyme called bromelain.
Oh, yeah, bromelain.
Yeah.
Interesting thing about bromelain is that it has these anti-inflammatory properties.
Okay.
So while pineapple juice may not be like directly cleansing the kidneys like some people imagine,
Right.
it can help reduce inflammation throughout the body, which indirectly supports kidney health.
Okay, so it's more about creating this healthy environment
Exactly.
for the kidneys to thrive in.
Yeah, supporting the body's natural processes.
Mm.
And the video does say that moderation is key here,
Right.
even with healthy juices.
Yeah.
Too much of a good thing can still have consequences. For example, pineapple juice is relatively low in potassium,
Okay.
but it is high in sugar.
Right.
So it's best to enjoy it in moderation.
Makes sense. Everything in balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, there was another juice on the list that I found really interesting.
Okay.
Celery juice. It seems like celery juice is like
Oh, yeah.
having a moment.
It's very trendy.
It is, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So is there any truth to it being good for the kidneys?
The research on celery juice and kidney health is still kind of limited,
Okay.
but there are some interesting things. So celery has a compound called apigenin,
Okay.
and this has been shown to protect against kidney damage in animal studies.
Oh, wow.
So, we need more research involving humans to really confirm the benefit,
Right.
but it seems promising.
Yeah, so celery juice, potentially
Potentially, yeah.
good for the kidneys. What other interesting juices did the video mention?
Well, how about a juice that's both incredibly hydrating
Okay.
and super refreshing? Cucumber juice.
Cucumber juice, yeah. Cucumbers are like mostly water,
Right,
so it makes sense that it would be hydrating.
right.
But are there other kidney-specific benefits?
It turns out that cucumber juice is a good source of antioxidants,
Oh,
which can help protect the kidneys from damage from those free radicals. And like we talked about, staying hydrated
yes.
is so crucial for those kidneys to filter waste products,
Right.
which helps maintain overall health.
So cucumber juice, good to go.
Yep. Add it to the list.
Now, watermelon juice. I love watermelon juice,
Yeah.
especially on a hot day. And we talked about the rind earlier.
Yes, we did.
So I want to hear more about that. What are the benefits of watermelon rind?
It's really fascinating. So watermelon juice itself is a fantastic choice for kidney health.
Mm.
It's hydrating.
Right?
It's a natural diuretic. It helps flush out the excess fluids and waste products from the body. And it has all those vitamins and antioxidants that protect the kidneys.
Yeah.
But the rind, which we usually throw away, I know, right? Actually contains compounds that may offer protection to those kidneys. One recent study found that those compounds actually protected against kidney damage in rats.
Wow.
So this is a promising area for more research.
It makes you think, what else are we missing out on
I know.
from the parts of the foods we typically throw away?
It's true.
Now, I know we've been talking about a lot of these beneficial juices,
Mm-hmm.
but it's important to remember what the video said about those extreme kidney cleanses.
Yeah, definitely.
Our bodies are really good at naturally detoxifying themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the problem with those cleanses?
The concern is that they can do more harm than good,
Okay.
especially for people who already have kidney problems.
Mm-hmm.
It can put a lot of stress on the kidneys. And without medical supervision,
Right.
there's a risk of complications,
Okay.
like electrolyte imbalances or dehydration.
So it's really about being wary of those quick fixes
Absolutely.
and those fad diets,
Mm.
and instead focusing on building sustainable, healthy habits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The best way to support kidney health is through a balanced diet,
Right.
adequate hydration, and regular exercise.
Yeah.
Those lifestyle changes, in combination with regular checkups,
Yeah.
are far more effective than any extreme cleanse.
Now, the video mentions a couple of specific eating plans. that are often recommended for people with kidney issues.
Mm-hmm.
The renal diet and the DAS diet.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
Can you break those down for us?
Yeah, so the renal diet is designed specifically for people with chronic kidney disease,
Okay.
CKD,
Mm-hmm.
and it focuses on limiting intake of protein, sodium, potassium, and phosphorus.
Okay.
Because those nutrients can build up in the body when the kidneys aren't functioning properly.
So it's very targeted
Yeah.
at managing kidney health diet.
And it's often used with other treatments to manage the condition.
Okay.
Now, the DAS diet stands for Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension.
Right. Hypertension, high blood pressure,
Exactly.
which is a major risk factor for kidney disease.
Exactly. The DASH diet focuses on lowering blood pressure by emphasizing fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean protein, and limiting saturated fat, cholesterol, and sodium.
Okay, so the DASH diet can benefit anyone looking to improve their heart health.
Yeah.
But it's also relevant for kidney health because it addresses that key risk factor.
Precisely.
Okay.
And both the renal diet and the DASH diet highlight the importance of informed food choices and working with healthcare professionals to create a personalized eating plan that meets your individual needs.
Right. It's not one size fits all.
Definitely not.
All right, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to that list of 22 foods to avoid
Okay, yeah.
for kidney health.
Let's do it.
We've covered quite a few,
We have.
but there are a couple more I want to highlight.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
For example, the video says to be mindful of dates.
Dates. Interesting.
I wouldn't have thought of dates as potentially harmful to the kidneys.
Yeah.
What's the deal there?
So they are a good source of fiber and antioxidants, but they are quite high in potassium.
Okay.
And we've talked about how for people with CKD,
Right.
their kidneys may struggle to process excess potassium.
So it's another reminder to be mindful of portion sizes
It is.
and balance,
Absolutely.
even with these seemingly healthy foods.
Yeah.
And it's also a good example of why it's so important to have that open communication with your doctor about your diet, especially if you have any underlying conditions.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, I'm curious about potatoes.
Potatoes.
Potatoes are such a staple food.
I know. So many different ways you can prepare them, too.
Exactly. So what makes them potentially problematic?
So potatoes are a good source of carbs and some vitamins and minerals, but they're relatively high in potassium. And the way that potatoes are prepared can significantly impact that content.
Okay.
For example, boiling potatoes can leach out some of that potassium,
Okay.
making them a bit more kidney friendly.
No, again, it's not just about the food itself.
Right.
It's also about how it's cooked.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's a great point. And one more food from this list is dairy products.
Dairy. Yeah, dairy's a tricky one.
I know. What's the deal with dairy and the kidneys?
So dairy, again, a good source of calcium and protein, but they can be high in phosphorus and potassium.
Right.
And as we've been saying, high levels of those minerals in the blood can be a problem for people with CKD.
So moderation and individual needs
Absolutely.
are key.
And remember, there are plenty of plant-based alternatives.
Right.
Almond milk, soy milk, oat milk. Those are all lower in phosphorus and potassium. So they're a good choice if you're watching those levels.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground today, but there's one more thing I want to touch on before we wrap up.
Okay.
The video briefly mentioned the role of medication in managing kidney health.
Oh, yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. So there are a number of different medications that doctors might prescribe for people with kidney disease. And those medications can help control blood pressure, reduce protein in the urine, manage anemia, address some of the complications associated with CKD.
So medication can play a really vital role.
You can.
In managing kidney health.
Yeah.
Alongside these lifestyle changes and the dietary modifications.
Absolutely. It can help to slow down the progression of the disease and improve quality of life for people living with this condition.
This has been such an informative deep dive so far.
It really has.
Thank you for sharing your insights.
My pleasure.
We'll be back in just a moment to wrap up our discussion of kidney health and diet. Stay tuned for some final thoughts and takeaways.
Wow. It's amazing how much we've learned
I know.
about kidneys just from this one video.
It really is fascinating.
They really are like these unsung heroes.
They are.
In our bodies.
Working so hard all the time.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy how much our everyday choices can impact their health.
Yeah, we don't always think about the connection.
No. Not until something goes wrong, usually.
Right. It's a good reminder that we have more control
We do.
over our health than we realize.
Yeah.
Even small changes
Small changes can make a big difference.
can make a huge difference in the long run.
Absolutely.
So we've covered so much today,
We have.
like the surprising foods that can be bad for kidneys, the importance of a balanced diet,
Yeah.
hydration, regular checkups.
All that good stuff.
If you had to give just one piece of advice
Okay.
to our listeners, what would it be?
Be proactive about your health.
Okay.
Don't wait until you're having symptoms to start paying attention to your kidneys.
Yeah.
Get those regular checkups. Talk to your doctor about diet and lifestyle. And be an active participant in your healthcare journey.
That is such good advice.
Thanks.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
And when we understand how our bodies work, it empowers us to make choices that support our well-being.
I love that.
Yeah. So this has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise.
My pleasure. I enjoyed it.
And to our listeners, if you want to dive deeper into any of the specific points we discussed,
Yeah, for sure.
you can always check out that YouTube video, the source material.
Yeah, good idea.
And remember, if you have any concerns about your kidney health, don't hesitate to reach out to a healthcare professional.
Yeah, that's always the best first step.
They can give you personalized guidance and support.
Absolutely.
So thanks for joining us on this journey into the world of kidney health.
Thanks for having me.
We hope you learned something new and feel empowered to make choices that support your well-being.
Yes.
Until next time, take care of those amazing kidneys.